Guys, it's Danielle, Vita Plastica, and I'm not prepared for this doll video, but I'm just going to do it because I'm still in my work clothes and I'm not in my pajamas and looking like a schlub yet, which I will be very soon. I didn't really want to do any more videos. There have been some things in the hobby that have, not in the hobby, in the community that have happened that made me feel like I understand people who are like, oh, I'm leaving the hobby. It's not about the dolls, it's about the people. So, in a nutshell, without getting into the drama, because I don't want to feel heartbroken anymore, I set up 2 Facebook groups, one for people of color and one for LGBT people. And while the reaction was great from a lot of people, the amount of prejudice and bias in the community was really disturbing, and it made me not want to be part of the community. It made me want to turn off my Tumblr page, which I did. We're still getting lots of hate there for the people of color group, so I mean, Tumblr's just an evil, evil place. Anyway, so I haven't wanted to participate, but thanks to your encouragement, Libby Libs, and that's Libacious Wine and Dolly's creator. I don't have my wine yet. I just walked in the door. Maybe a little later we can have a little talk about things. Anyway, so let's talk about dolls. So in the middle of all that drama came the golden serpent that I was so excited about, and I was so excited to tell you guys and have a big discussion about sex and whatnot, because she was going to be a courtesan in a society that really appreciated the female body and the sexual freedom. But then she arrived and she's like, nope, that's not me. That cute little cabana house that you made, no thanks. I'm somebody completely different. And I had a Freestyle Salome on layaway, and she really wanted a companion. None of the other dolls have ever wanted a companion the way she has. So I was very excited when I finished that layaway, and home came my Freestyle Salome, who is called Mercy. And this is Sabine. Sabine, oh man, the story of how she got her name, it was great. Long story short, I once knew this call girl from Paris, and she told me if I ever wrote her story to call her Sabine. And so Sabine was going to be like an homage to her, but that didn't work. But she's still Sabine. So wherever you are, a friend whose name I won't mention, I'm always thinking about you. And you are the second sister I never had. But you probably will never see this. But I love you. Anyway, so these girls were supposed to be lovers, but I don't know if the vibe is there. So I'm just going to give them a little time and let them feel that out. But I thought you might get a kick out of their backstory. So I'm going to read it to you really quick. Now it's rough. It's just notes and stuff. There are plot holes. There are things that I have not thought about. Like the way other countries would be reacting to this situation, but looking at what's going on in the UK, I'm beginning to understand. So, these 2 girls, I'm just going to sum it up really quick before I get into the details. They live in, I was going to do like a post-apocalyptic thing, but I feel like it's like the desert thing is in this sort of steampunky-ish kind of cyberpunk thing is a little too done for me without having more of like a base of what's going on. But I'm obsessed with post-apocalyptic stuff, so don't get me wrong, I do love all of your stuff. I really love those stories, and I don't know, there's something about survival. I like zombies too, and it's not the zombies, but it's surviving in that kind of hopeless landscape that I really like. So anyway, they live in a post-Trump society, a post-President Trump society. So here's how it goes. 2 years into his presidency, President Trump makes good on his campaign promises by building a massive wall to the south. There's another wall to the north. Canada was mocking President Trump, so he erected a wall that extends all the way to Washington state, leaving a gap to access Alaska for oil trucks to make their way down to the lower 48. This was paid for by taxpayer money that was set aside for repairing roads, bridges, and education. Do you guys ever see, what's that movie? Idiocracy is the most terrifying movie ever. Okay, anyway, people were hired from all over the country, leaving a major gap in construction development for several years. President Trump deported every Muslim who was not a full U.S. citizen. Even permanent residents were deported due to a loophole in policy. Those who were U.S. citizens were under constant surveillance. He tried to deport them too, but found policy too hard to get around. One by one, the U.S. lost ties to other countries. Only countries ruled by madmen aligned with the U.S., and then only for their own purposes. All environmental work involving power ceased. Hybrid and electric cars became extinct as they were no longer allowed to produce them nor import them. Fracking was extremely common, smog became a nationwide problem, and oil spills were the norm. The media was dissolved. All news was presented by the Trump Network, and it showed victories and praise for Trump as well as ballroom dancing shows. Hollywood became a ghost town. Satire or dramatizations of Trump's rule became illegal. Anyone with disparaging words about Trump disappeared. During the re-election campaign, Trump boasted of throwing the election in his favor. He created a small army loyal to him that murdered every politician that opposed him. He dismantled Congress and the Supreme Court. In his 7th year of rule, he declared himself emperor. Then followed a bloody revolution that lasted a year. During the revolution, all of his children were murdered and much of his personal guard. But the revolution was not successful, and the people of the U.S. found themselves in a much worse position. Food stores became scarce, and most people grew their own food, or tried. Everyone lived in fear. Trump had taken to living in a blimp that stayed airborne most of the time. He renamed the country the United States of Trump. He became obsessed with long life. He started fertility camps where he would impregnate young women and harvest more children. He had teams of scientists pulled away from their work researching cures for diseases to find methods to extend his life. Prison populations more than doubled under his new laws, so when it came time to test these new medicines, he used tens of thousands of prisoners. These medicines caused unexpected mutations, some horrific, some superhuman. It was these subjects that were the seed for the next revolution, a successful one. Trump lived to 150 years old, giving most of his orders from a bed under a series of tubes. Trump's guard was made up of military, government agents, and local police. Few had a choice, and most lived in fear for their families' lives. Very few rebelled against his rule. But one man, Constantine Brooks, took the risk that could kill his wife and children. One soldier used that gun to murder the shadow of Trump in that hospital bed and his more evil advisors. And that began the second revolution. One by one, soldiers switched sides. Mutated prisoners broke free from their prisons and assisted others. It was chaos. Along with innocent victims in that prison were also murderers and rapists, all free and hungry to vent their anger. Sadly, it was misguided, and instead of preying on Trump supporters, they vented their rage on everyone. Constantine's family were among those victims. Before Trump's people could reach them, they were brutally murdered. The only survivor was Constance Brooks, who hid in the root cellar below their house as the screams of her mother and brothers rang in her ears. Nearly 100 years later, the population of the United States of Trump, was only about 100,000. But on her deathbed, Constance took consolation in her sturdy genes that had withstood it all, and she was able to look in the eyes of her granddaughter, Mercy, and feel the power and strength flowing through her. Her line would continue. Now, I don't have Sabine's part, so let me go get that. Hold on. Okay. Great. Nearly every group, and this is sort of not a continuation, but sort of a parallel, nearly every group that opposed Trump's candidacy and presidency was completely destroyed. Trump was very paranoid about dissension, and this is where it began. So that was where his quiet slaughter began. But he could never wipe out everyone. There were those who did not attend a rally because they were busy gaining new supporters. One such was Daniel, and I'm changing his last name, to De Souza, a low-ranking member of a Latin American civil rights group. After the slaughter of his group, he went into hiding using a network not unlike the Underground Railroad. The network had satellite offices in every state. They were always moving, so knowing the right contact, knowing the symbols etched on abandoned cars and empty buildings was imperative. A few years later, Daniel became a top-ranking official in the organization in charge of information distribution, since the Trump News Channel could not be trusted. And I get kind of mixed up with the order of things. Okay. Daniel's children and his grandchildren grew up within the network in relative relaxation and safety. They grew their own food, helped others to create farms small enough to escape notice. Daniel's clan grew up strong, cunning, and adept at subterfuge. But they were not perfect. Before the Second Revolution, they were caught with written materials for the resistance and murdered. Luckily, and I don't put it in there, but one of the children was Sabine's mom. But they learned to never use, so they were caught with written materials. Luckily, it did not reveal too much information, but they learned to never use written materials again. Instead, they sang in code, passing messages from one town to the next and lifting spirits at the same time. Around this time came the first revolution, which didn't change the lives of Daniel's heirs very much. But in the second, they all fought, however and wherever they could. The battle was won, but the real struggle then began. Families and communities grouped together in large communes that ruled themselves. Trading was done from town to town, but there was always an element of danger. They had to fight for resources with escaped criminals or even their desperate neighbors. Sabine was Daniel's penultimate grandchild and seemed born with leadership qualities. She easily organized people, crops, duties. But what she loved most was music. She loved to play piano, guitar, and violin. She loved writing songs and the challenge of implanting code in her lyrics. She was uncommonly beautiful. So it fell to her to travel and share news, though her family feared for her safety. So that is how those two met. You know, if you're familiar with like old like slave songs and stuff, like let's say, I don't know, like Follow the Drinking Gourd, how it's a code and they're telling you how to go and what night and you got to follow the North Star and stuff. It would be like that, where they're passing on this news, but they're doing it in a kind of a melodic way. If you think about a lot of rap these days that basically invents new slang by calling things other things, it's kind of in that vein. So these two are kind of in like a neo-soul electro group. Kind of like if you imagine like British drum and bass, something like that. Maybe a little more new wave. Anyway, their band is called Luna Noir, because I love the Mighty Boosh, and that's after Vince Noir and Howard Moon. And plus, you know, if you're traveling in secret, or let's say you're an escaped slave or something, you're going to travel during the new moon where there's less moonlight and you won't be as easily detected. So they are my little super group. So they were also supposed to be in love, but I don't know if that's happening, because this one is feeling Gigi, my swamp girl. And I'd bring her out, but she's all the way in a closet, and her eyes are weird, and her hair is weird because we keep stealing her stuff. So Gigi, yeah, but Gigi's like 16. I mean, I'm cut off. I'm always getting cut off, but I'll try to make the rest of this quick. I just want to make some announcements about some things I'm trying. I made wig caps this weekend, and I just got my hair in. And this girl is going to have a lovely green wig because she's a tree spirit, so she's going to look like a tree. This wig was never quite right on her anyway, just a little too grown up. I want her to look like a disheveled, feral child. So she'll be getting that, and my poor darling girl, my poor Gigi, she, this wig will go, and I got more of basically this stuff. So she'll get her wig back, and then this one will have a wig that's actually made for her head. It's actually super, super loose, and it's just on with some sticky tack. And these girls, because, you know, all my dolls have to have a house, right, or something. She's going to get this, what's it called? Not American Doll. Our generation. It's American Doll size, but our generation, right? It's called Our Generation. Yeah, so anyway, so this is going to be army green. I'll be doing that this weekend, and I'll get that together. And then I have the camper. It's kind of big, and it's full of little wood pieces, so I'm not going to pick it up. But they're going to have like sort of a tour bus, but it'll kind of be their home and stuff. And I finished the floor. You might have seen on Instagram. So we'll see how that turns out. Otherwise, what else is going on? I guess that's really it. I'm just happy to get my girls. Freakstyle Salome, she's so different than anything that I have. She's super heavy. And I think I'm her third owner, but she has resin smell. I've never smelled resin before. Now I get it. She smells like a giant marker, like a permanent marker. A big fatty marker. But I love it. Oh yeah, so she's going to have a wig too. And it'll be purple braids. And it might be shaved like black on the sides and maybe around, depending on how much hair I can get out of this, you know, human purple extensions. They were just like glowing and pretty, and I just had to get them. I guess that's it for now. I'm sure I have other things to announce, but I might as well just get this up, and then I can just procrastinate the next video. But no more dolls for me, because it's a problem. Like, I don't have enough money to clothe them all and get them all eyes and wigs and stuff, but it's a good opportunity to learn to make things. So I'll be making some wigs, and that should be quite an adventure. Alright, well, I hope you guys are having a good dolly day, and I'm gonna go have some wine and dinner. Bye.